welcome. I'm Tom Sinclair, that VidBlaster guy, coming to you live over the internet. Isn't this wonderful? Isn't this really cool stuff that we can just be anywhere in the world and broadcast to anywhere else in the world live? I mean, today we were testing in pre-show, and we've got about a 3-second delay. If you're watching our 720p feed live, it's about a 3-second delay from the time I say it till the time you hear it. That's pretty amazing. Now, if you're watching us on your smartphone, and hopefully you're using the 180p feed, which will use up less of your bandwidth and less of your data plan, then there's about a 32-second delay today. And we'll talk about where those delays come from in just a minute. That's going to kind of be the meat of our show. But remember, the idea behind this show is that one guy with one PC can do an awesome broadcast. And that's what we're here to prove the point for. Now, I'm definitely one guy, and I'm definitely using one PC, and we're striving for the awesome broadcast part. You got to go back and look at some of our old videos on YouTube. They're still there. I leave them up just to remind me from whence I came. But it's important to know that you're working forward. You're one step at a time. You're moving forward. And that's the idea, that you get a little bit better, you make fewer mistakes, you improve. It's like any other skill. You don't walk right out and hit a home run your first time at bat. Well, you might, and that would be great, but you probably haven't learned a whole lot if you can do that. You learn when you strike out. You learn when you fly out, when you get hit by a pitch. Well, you probably don't learn much on that one. That wasn't your fault. That was the pitcher's fault. Anyway, one guy, one PC, one awesome broadcast. You don't need a room full of PCs. You don't need fancy equipment, at least not to start with. You know, if you decide it's something you really want to move on with, yes, you can gear up with the right stuff later. But to play with it up front, you need a PC, you need a webcam, and you need the right software like VidBlaster. You can get the home edition for $195. Oh, by the way, full disclosure, I am a VidBlaster reseller, so this is a giant infomercial for VidBlaster, but it is and it isn't. The idea is that we're going to give you as much information so that you can make your best decision on what you want to get, and hopefully, if it's VidBlaster, that you'll buy it from me and get the lifetime support. Technical support. Now, somebody asked me the other day, what does lifetime mean? I said, well, it's either yours or mine, whichever comes first. That was terrible. Anyway, sorry about that. So lifetime support with any purchase of VidBlaster from us. We're glad to help. And you can, if you bought your VidBlaster from another reseller or from VidBlaster and you want to upgrade it, you can do that with us too. A lot of folks are upgrading to version 4 right now because it looks like it's going to have some really good features in it as it matures. In fact, that's part of what we're going to show you today is the new streamer module and kind of how it works when you want to stream to more than one location at a time or more than one destination. And let me tell you a little background on that. This show is broadcast live on Wednesday afternoons from our studios here in Fairhope, Alabama, 2 o'clock Central Time. And we record it, and then we upload it to YouTube. And a lot of the folks that watch us end up watching on YouTube. They don't get a chance to watch live because we're in the afternoons, and they're either working, or if they're in Australia, they're sleeping, or if they're in the UK, they're probably having dinner. So a lot of the folks that watch us on YouTube. So we record our shows as well as stream them. The recording and streaming processes are similar, but obviously different. One is sending video out there to be watched live. Another is recording the video so that it can be watched later. Both of those require some good amount of hard drive and good amount of CPU in order to make them work and make them work smoothly. VidBlaster has been working hard, probably for the last year, 18 months, on improving its streaming capabilities. And I think they're really getting to a good point right now with the streamer. So let me bring up a a window. This is a capture window where I'm capturing part of my desktop, and part of my desktop shows the recorder module, which is right here, and two streamer modules, one here and one here. And I don't think you can see my mouse, but if I right click on that top streamer module, it opens up a menu with a series of choices that I can make on how I want to stream. Now I'm using VidBlaster 4.06, which is a beta version. It's not a release version, it's a beta version, but it seems to be really, really stout, and I'm really happy with it. Let's just walk through these menus, and then I'll go back and spend a little bit of time with some of it. Start means to start streaming. Stop means to stop streaming. That's the easy part. Source means where is the streamer module going to get its video from? And it can get its video from anything that is a module that I'm using. It can be an overlay, it can be a screen capture, it can be a camera, it can be effect, or in my case, it can be the program. That is the program out. Stream type is where I can use either Flash Media Server or UDP multicast, or, as you can see in my case by the little dot there to the left of Decast, I've used the built-in streaming capability for Decast in VidBlaster, and this happens to be the broadcast package. But there's also one for Scale Engine, Solid Tango, Streaming Praise TV, Sunday Streams, and Ustream. So you can click on those and enter the appropriate settings, and I'll show you how to do that on Decast in just a second. And we'll go up here to Stream Settings. This is where I would put in some cases, the URL and the stream name, or in this case, I'm using Decast, I would put in my login, which I'm not going to show you my login, but it also gives me an opportunity to enter my passwords. And then I can select one of my 4 Decast channels. Currently, we're using that VidBlaster Guide channel on this particular streamer. I've got some other shows that I do that you can see are on there. In fact, we'll go down to streamer number 2 here and go to Stream Settings, and you go to Channel, and you can see that VidBlaster Guide with iOS is selected. And I'll come back and tell you why. Well, I'll tell you why on that one right now. I hate it when people say, I'll come back and tell you why a little later. Well, no, I want to tell you why right now. The why right now is I stream 2 different streams simultaneously. One is a flash stream, which almost everybody with a PC can view. But if you have an iPhone and some Android phones, you can't see that. So I stream a second stream using Decast's iOS service, an HTML5 stream, that you can view on your phone without using any kind of special browser that emulates Flash or something like that. The Flash feed is a 720p feed. I think today actually it's a 480p feed. Yeah, we were having little problems in pre-show. Excuse me. So I wasn't able to get 720 up without a lot of stuttering. And in the iOS feed, it's a 180p. Reason why? Somebody using a phone may well be using their data plan to watch. So I don't want to burn up all their data just to see my face, when really it's the voice that's the most important part. So we stream a pretty decent voice stream, 96K BPS, and an okay video stream. Let's see, let's go back here and see what that video stream is. Video resolution is, it's not selected, but it was 320 by 180, which is pretty small, and then a bit rate of 200. You see that right there, which is not very fast, and so it doesn't use up a lot of your data. That's the second reason. And for folks that have a what would you call it, a slow internet connection, they can go to that one and see the show without a lot of buffering, because buffering will drive you crazy. So our thought is we want to give folks a couple of options. One is a great full-blown option for folks that are watching us on a good internet connection, and then a lower, slower option for folks that are watching us on phones or with a bad internet connection, or at least not a great internet connection. So that requires that we stream actually two separate streams, because Decast, their iOS service is something basically that they are, what's the best, they're subcontracting that to another company. So they're taking that stream, sending it to the other company is re-encoding it, and then broadcasting it from there. I don't think Decast is doing that in-house. In fact, I don't think they do any of their stuff in-house. I think they're just resellers for some big guys, which is fine. They give me a good price and they give me good service, and that's what I need. So one of them is going to their flash server, which is in Washington, D.C., and the low, slow feed is going to their iOS partner in, I think it's Kansas City, somewhere in the Midwest. So basically, I'm sending feeds two different directions. Now, both of it is Decast. That is, Decast is the streaming provider, and they are the ones that I'm paying the money to. But it's two separate destinations. So the destination is what requires me to make two streams. Now, Flash Media Live Encoder and I think also FFmpeg have the ability to stream the same stream at multiple bit rates. And so it would go to the same destination, and you would just have multiple bit rate choices. So if you were having some buffering, you could just simply drop back to a different bit rate. For example, on YouTube, you'll see, if you go into the settings on YouTube in a video, that you can adjust the resolution on a video. If it's a little choppy at your end, it's probably because either your video card can't keep up or you don't have enough bandwidth to watch it very well. So if you cut back your resolution from 720 to 480, or from 480 to 244, or whatever the options are, I think maybe the 480 to 360 might be the next choice. Those you can have a smoother stream. The quality is not quite as good, but the motion will be smoother and you won't get any buffering. And that would be why you would use a multi-bit rate stream for a single CDN location. Now you still would be, let's say you had 3 bit rate choices, you would still be sending 3 streams, but you'd be sending them all 3 to the same location. And that would be okay. There is a company out there, oh, I should have written it down, and I'll have to tell you about it next week, that you can send your one stream to, and that they will turn around and restream it to as many different destination CDNs as you want, in as many different resolutions as you want. The more you choose, obviously, the more expensive it gets, but they'll stream it to YouTube, and they'll stream it to Decast and anybody else that you want, Ustream and some of the other free ones as well. So that becomes an option for somebody that doesn't have a lot of computer horsepower, but wants to have a bunch of different options in how their stream gets out there. And I know there's some folks that are doing, I think Stephen Haywood with the Tech Buzz will do 4 streams, maybe 5 streams, but I think he's really only sending out 1 stream, and then he's sending it out to this third party, and they're resending it for him so that he's not burning up all his bandwidth, and so that he doesn't have to have a super heavy-duty, high-horsepower PC in order to re-encode and send out multiple streams. But here today, one guy, one PC, one internet connection, and we're sending 2 streams out on it. So that was a long explanation. Sorry about that. Kind of got caught in that one and couldn't get it uncaught. Let's go back to the streamer module. So we've got the stream type. In our case, it's Decast. We've got the settings. In our case, the setting is already decided at the Decast end, so all I have to do is pick the channel. Now I can pick the video resolution. And in this case, I might want to pick 640 by 480, which is what we typically do the VidBlaster guys show in. If I think I have a good fast day, I might move all the way up to 720. The higher the resolution, the higher the bit rate. Today we were doing in testing, we were doing 864 by 480, and 1500 was the kind of the optimum bit rate for us for that. If we moved up to 720, we might want to move the bit rate up to 2500 or even 3000. And then there's video compression. And video compression is what, well, let me read you what VidBlaster has to say about that. The video quality of the live video stream is influenced by the encoder setting and the chosen bit rate. The higher the compression, the better the video quality for a given bit rate. If CPU usage is not an issue, that is, if you've got a mammoth CPU, for a dedicated streaming system, use the highest setting you possibly can, that is, high compression. Choose lower compression. Well, let's see. Let's go back to this, the compression. So we can do high compression if we've got a lot of CPU overhead. Low compression if we're concerned about CPU low overhead. And typically the medium setting, which is the default setting, is a good compromise between the two. The other thing that doesn't get mentioned here is bandwidth. If you have a high compression, then it doesn't require quite as much bandwidth. If you have low compression, then it's going to require a little bit more bandwidth. And you'll have to go back up to your bandwidth and adjust for that. You may have to go up really high if it's a low compression. Okay? Okay, so we got compression on that one. Audio device basically is where we select what is the audio that you want your listeners to hear. Where's it coming from? In my case, even though it says microphone, it's really the output from my Behringer mixer. You can see I've got Behringer mixer listed down here, and that's the USB output from the Behringer mixer. But I like to use the microphone output because I have a little bit, I mean, not the microphone output, but the line out of the mixer, because I have a little bit more control over that than I do the USB portion. I can control with the Behringer, I can control the output volume, and so I can adjust the total volume up and down. And see, I'm going to take my volume, whoa, I took my volume way down right there. If I was using USB, I wouldn't have any control over the volume there. And you always want control over your volume. The audio codec would be the MP3 or AAC. AAC is a codec that some CDNs like you to use, especially if you're going to be streaming to an Apple device, because Apples don't understand MP3. At least last time I checked, they didn't. And then your audio bit rate would basically determine the quality of the audio. I think 128 is 128 is what we used to stream. I'm not sure why it's up to down to 96 right now. But I've streamed in some cases where I've streamed all the way down at 16 when it didn't involve music. It was just sports. And so the quality of the audio wasn't quite as important. But today I think we're doing 128 because we're streaming out on Wirecast. Auto restart just basically says if the streamer drops the stream for any reason, it will automatically restart, and that's good to have. The display size feature allows us to change the size of the actual module. So we can go 25%, or we can go 100%, and that means it's going to be the same size as our global resolution in VidBlaster. So we will change that one back. And I don't know if you noticed, when we were in the default size, we had the controls here for start and stop. But if we go to the 25% size, those controls disappear. We can still get access to them by right-clicking start and stop. Or if we have the studio or broadcast editions of VidBlaster, we can use the API or a keyboard macro to start or stop our stream. Okay, so that's kind of a quick overview of the streamer module. And the biggest change, I think, is that VidBlaster is now using FFmpeg as its streaming engine and not relying on Flash Media Live Encoder. You can still use Flash Media Live Encoder. If you like Flash Media Live Encoder, you can use it either built into VidBlaster or you can use it separately. To use it separately, you would use an output module, and you would basically send your video out using the virtual video device, which Flash Media Live Encoder would detect as a webcam. And so it would pick that up and then send out the video like that. So if you want to stream to multiple CDNs or stream to the same CDN but different ways for different purposes like I do, then VidBlaster will allow you to do that. Now, the caveat to all this, and I probably should have mentioned this earlier, but it just dawned on me. In order to have two streamers, I think you have to have the broadcast edition, which is what I've got, which is the high-end edition. So if you are a home pro or studio user and you want to go to multiple CDNs or multiple bit rates or multiple sites within the same CDN, you'll have to use a third-party service, and let me make a note of that right now. Third-party service for streaming. I may have it in some of my other notes from before. Well, I don't. At least not that I can see easily. So we'll have to work on that. We will have to work on that. I had mentioned a couple of shows ago about doing a summer shootout with VidBlaster, Wirecast, and vMix, and was really excited about that and got sidetracked. And for those of you that watch the show regularly know that I haven't been here the last 2 weeks. I've been on the road. My dad had took a turn for the worst. He's 84 and lives up in Virginia. And so, on two separate occasions, the medical staff said, family needs to get here. And so we got there, and he said, oh, it's so nice to see everybody. So he is still with us, thank goodness, and appreciate the prayers from those of you that prayed for him and for me and for the rest of the family. Obviously, it worked to a great degree, and he is improving on a daily basis. In fact, the word that we left Sunday, but the word that we had was that this week the physical therapy staff were going to even have him up and walking around, which I think is pretty amazing. So we'll have to get a good report. I haven't heard back on that one yet, so maybe that hasn't happened. But that's sort of changed our schedule for the summer. It's put us way behind in all the things that we want to do. So we've sort of pushed that shootout back a little bit. For those of you that were keeping up with our 2 computer builds, obviously those have been on hold as well. We're retrofitting an old portable PC with new guts, and then we built a new streaming PC to use as a test bed for our AJA Kona card that we've been loaned from Kona, and that is working beautifully. We hope to have that maybe even as our streaming machine next week when we do next week's show. So that's all the news that's fit to print at this moment. Let's see if I've missed anything. Let me check my show notes here. No, don't think I've missed anything. Thank you for showing up for the show today, for everybody that's watching us live, and for folks that have watched on YouTube. We hope you'll subscribe and come back and see us again live sometime. I'm Tom Sinclair, that VidBlaster guy. It's really been my pleasure to be with you today, and I hope you will come see us again sometime in the future when we're doing another exciting episode. Take care.